Rinkeil's boots scraped against the cracked pavement of Vera District, the most treacherous sector in the alien metropolis. Even with the night wind sharp against his face, sweat trickled down his temple, sliding into the lines of the tattoos that wound across his arms like faded military scars. His shoulders hunched beneath a patched leather jacket, inside which a small package pressed against his ribs like a secret that could kill him. The memory of his landlord's final message that morning gnawed at him. 3 days to pay or he'd be thrown out into the streets. 3 years on this planet, running packages for criminals and smugglers, yet he was still one slip away from sleeping in alleys. This job was supposed to be different. His client had promised triple the usual pay. Triple meant food, rent, maybe even a chance to breathe. If he could just reach the rendezvous unseen. The district twisted around him in impossible shapes, alien architecture designed with no thought to human perception. Angled spires cut the sky, glowing with colors that made his eyes ache. Rin stayed low, moving through narrow alleys where patrol drones seldom passed. A group of reptilian locals lingered near an intersection ahead, their scaled tails twitching. He ducked behind a rusted container and waited, heart pounding, until their guttural laughter faded into the distance. When he finally slipped free into an open lot, something caught his eye. At first he thought it was debris, a pillar of concrete standing alone in the dirt. But then he saw her. A figure bound to the pillar, slumped forward, wrists shackled by crude metal restraints. Her skin glimmered faintly, a shade of soft lavender that shimmered under the district's fractured neon light. White hair, tangled and falling in uneven strands, veiled part of her face. A sign hung from her neck, alien glyphs scrawled across the surface with the human translation carved beneath. "Take as you please." Rin's stomach turned cold. He had seen cruelty before, but this was something darker, more deliberate. He took a step closer, his breath shallow. The girl stirred weakly, lifting her head. Her eyes were black pools flecked with faint silver, widening in fear when she saw him. Fresh bruises marked her arms and torso, and a thin crust of blood lined her lips. "Easy," Rin said softly, raising his hands so she could see they were empty. "I'm not here to hurt you." She flinched anyway, pressing against the pillar as if she'd disappear into stone. Up close, she was clearly not human. Her ears narrowed to delicate points, and faint markings glowed faintly across her skin, like a constellation pulsing just beneath the surface. He glanced around. The lot was deserted, but in this district that could change in seconds. His package burned against his ribs like a warning. He could walk away now, finish his job, secure his rent. But then the girl's trembling body shifted, and he heard the faintest whisper escape her lips. "Punishment, exile." The words were broken, but recognizable. Rin swore under his breath. He reached for the restraints. They were crude locks, nothing advanced. In seconds they snapped open. The girl collapsed forward, too weak to stand, and Rin caught her. She weighed almost nothing, fragile in his arms. He shrugged out of his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders, covering her bare skin. Her lips moved again, breathless. "My clan!" Her eyes rolled back, and she slumped unconscious against him. For a long moment, Rin just stood there, clutching her slight form, the package pressing insistently against his ribs. Then he muttered, "Damn it!" and shifted her weight into his arms. The job could wait. This, whatever this was, mattered more. Rin's apartment barely held him on a good day, but now it seemed suffocating as he laid the girl on his narrow bed. A cracked lamp threw pale light across her skin, the faint luminescent markings flickering weakly as if tied to her breath. "What the hell am I doing?" he muttered. His delivery deadline was closing fast. Drex, the Veyron crime lord who had hired him, was not known for patience. And yet here he was, dabbing dried blood from a stranger's wounds with a damp cloth. Her breathing steadied. Slowly, her cosmic eyes fluttered open, fixing on him with suspicion edged in fear. "You're safe," Rin said, stepping back to give her space. "I'm Rin." Her lips parted, hesitant. "Leora." He repeated the name quietly, letting it settle in the small room. "Are you hungry?" Leora blinked, as if the question itself surprised her. After a pause, she nodded. Rin cobbled together a meal from synthetic protein cubes and nutrient paste. Hardly appetizing, but Leora accepted it, eating cautiously at first and then with surprising hunger. When she finished, her faint markings dimmed, and she sat straighter, though her voice trembled when she spoke. "I touched another? Against law. Forbidden. My clan cast me out. Made me Karath. Without name, without protection." Rin stared at her, incredulous. "For touching someone?" Her cheeks deepened to a richer purple. "To hold hands is intimacy. To break that law is impurity. Now, anyone may do as they wish with me." Her voice cracked, the words falling heavy between them. "Not here," Rin said firmly. "Not while I'm around." Her dark, endless eyes searched his face, as if testing the truth of his promise. "Why protect me? I am nothing to you." Rin shifted uncomfortably, feeling the weight of her gaze. "Because it's the right thing to do." Before he could say more, his comm unit vibrated sharply. He stepped into the bathroom and activated it. Drex's holographic image flickered into view, 6 eyes narrowing. "Where's my package, Kale?" the crime lord growled. "Complication," Rin said evenly. "I need more time." "You have 1 hour," Drex hissed. "Fail, and my collectors come for you." The transmission cut. Rin leaned against the wall, exhaling slowly. 1 hour. One fragile girl asleep in his bed. One choice that could cost him everything. When he returned, Leora was by the window, his jacket draped around her, her white hair glowing faintly in the neon light outside. She turned toward him, her voice soft. "You risk much for me." Before he could respond, she lifted a trembling hand to his face. Her fingers brushed his cheek, and for a moment, the markings on her skin flared brightly, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. "In my people's ways," she whispered, "a life debt is sacred. You saved me. I am bound to you now." Rin froze, caught in the intensity of her gaze. He didn't understand what she meant, not fully, but the gravity of it settled deep in his chest. He stepped back reluctantly, gripping the package in his jacket. "I have to go. I'll be back." As he slipped out into the neon-lit night, he felt her eyes on him, her promise, or curse, hanging in the air like a shadow. The delivery should have been simple. Rin handed over the package to Drex's enforcers in a forgotten warehouse, the exchange taking less than a minute. The Varen crime lord gave no threats, no suspicious questions, only a grunt and a transfer of credits heavier than Rin had dared hope for. It was too smooth. Too easy. But he wasn't about to argue. Not when the pate ship weighed reassuringly in his pocket. He ran through the back alleys, eager to return to his apartment. Neon signs bled colors across the cracked streets, distorted by mists rising from vents. The night had thickened, dangerous figures moving in the shadows, but Rin's mind was elsewhere, back in his apartment where a fragile girl with light purple skin and white hair waited. When he burst through his door, relief hit him, then panic. "Leora?" She was curled on the bed, trembling, her body slick with feverish sweat. Her markings flickered erratically, dimming, flaring, then fading again. Her lavender skin had taken on an ashen gray. Rin dropped beside her. Hey, stay with me." Her eyes cracked open, cloudy with pain. Inside, burning. Her voice was no more than a whisper. Rin peeled back his jacket from her shoulders and froze. The cuts on her arms had darkened to a sickly shade, with jagged purple lines spreading outward like veins of poison. He cursed. "No, no, no. Don't heal, heirs," she rasped, catching his wrist with surprising strength.
Leora, you're dying. You need medicine. Your medicine, kill me. My body, not the same. She was right. Human antibiotics could destroy alien physiology. He needed someone who knew xenobiology, someone outside the system who wouldn't report her. A name surfaced in his memory. Draven Holt. The rogue medic who worked in the district's underbelly, patching up the desperate and the unwanted. Rin had ferried supplies for him once. If anyone could help, it was him. I know someone, he said firmly. I'll get you there. She tried to protest, but he was already wrapping her in a blanket, lifting her easily. She weighed so little in his arms, her head lolling against his chest. Stay with me, Leora, he murmured as he carried her into the night. The clinic was hidden behind a rusted metal door in a forgotten industrial corridor. Rin banged a coded rhythm he barely remembered, 3 knocks, pause, 2 more. A moment later, the door slid open to reveal a man with a cybernetic eye that whirred as it adjusted to the dim light. Kale? Draven Holt's voice was gruff with disbelief. What the hell are you dragging in here? She needs help, Rin snapped, pushing past him. He laid Leora on a cracked examination table. Cuts on her arms, they're spreading. Draven's eye focused, scanning. He whistled low. Varen female. Rare to see one outside their enclaves. These wounds. He leaned closer, grimacing. They're laced with poison. Slow acting. Standard practice for exile markings. Rin's jaw tightened. They meant for her to die. Not just die, Draven corrected grimly, preparing syringes and diagnostic tools. Suffer first. Rin gripped the edge of the table, forcing down the anger boiling inside him. He had seen cruelty in battlefields, in back alleys, but this deliberate, ritualized torment, hit differently. Draven worked quickly, injecting a thin vial of shimmering fluid into the side of Leora's neck. Neutralizer, he explained. If you'd waited a few more hours, she'd be gone. Leora shuddered, then stilled, her breathing evening out. The angry lines across her arms stopped spreading, the markings on her skin beginning to stabilize into steady pulses. Rin let out a long breath he hadn't realized he was holding. From the bed, Leora's cosmic eyes fluttered open. Her gaze found him, fragile but focused. One trembling hand reached for his arm, tracing the faded tattoos etched into his skin. These, tell your story, she whispered. Something like that, Rin said softly. Each one's a battle I survived. Her fingers lingered, sending faint shivers through him. Among my people, only warriors bear such marks. A warrior who shows mercy, my clan would never understand such a contradiction. Draven cleared his throat from across the room. She'll need to rest here tonight. The serum isn't instant. I'll stay, Rin said without hesitation, settling into the chair beside the bed. Through the night, he didn't leave her side. Her hand remained entwined with his, faint warmth flowing between them. The steady glow of her markings grew brighter, pulsing in rhythm with her breath. For the first time in years, Rin Kale let himself believe he wasn't alone. He woke to a gentle pressure against his chest. At some point, Leora had shifted closer, her head resting against him. Her white hair spilled over his arm like silken strands of moonlight. Her skin was warm, but no longer feverish. The patterns along her body glowed steady, strong. You stayed, she whispered when she stirred. Of course, Rin murmured, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. Her hand trailed up to his jaw, tracing it softly. Your species strange. So violent. Yet capable of this tenderness. Before Rin could respond, Draven returned, his expression tense. You need to leave. Now. Rin stood instantly alert. Why? Transmission came in. Enforcement division's paying good credits for any Kiras sightings. And my assistant, damn fool, already sent word. Rin's blood chilled. How long? Dawn, maybe sooner. Rin glanced at Leora, who was already pulling herself upright, her cosmic eyes steady despite her weakened frame. She was stronger than he had thought. We'll go, he said. But where? Draven handed him a small data chip. There's a human enclave in the old mining district. Outside alien jurisdiction. Ask for Captain Mara Valen. Give her this, tell her I sent you. Rin clasped the doctor's hand. I owe you? Draven grunted. Just don't get caught. I've got enough problems. Wrapped in a loose human jumpsuit Draven provided, Leora stood by the door. Even in ill-fitting clothes, she carried herself with a quiet grace. As they slipped into the pre-dawn shadows, her hand found Rin's. The contact sent a warmth through him, grounding him in ways he hadn't expected. Behind them, the city stirred restlessly. Ahead, the mining district waited, a place of rumor and exile, of danger and maybe, just maybe, sanctuary. The night thinned into pale gray as Rin and Leora reached the edge of the mining district. Abandoned machinery loomed like skeletal beasts against the ridge, their rusted jaws open to the sky. Dawn spilled across the horizon, painting the rocks in shades of gold and copper. Rin checked the small NAV unit Draven had slipped into his pocket. Enclave should be just past this ridge, he murmured. Leora's white hair caught the rising sun, glowing faintly as if woven from starlight. Her lavender skin had regained some strength, the markings pulsing steady beneath her clothes. Still, her steps faltered occasionally. Rin offered his arm. She hesitated, then took it, her touch light but sure. As they climbed, movement flickered in the rocks above. The glint of rifle scopes. Stop, Rin whispered. A sharp voice called down. Identify yourselves! Rin raised his hands slowly. Rin Kale! Doc Holt sent us. We're seeking Captain Mara Valen. For a tense moment, silence stretched. Then a figure emerged from cover. A tall woman with dark skin and close-cropped gray hair descended the slope with military precision. A jagged scar cut across her face from temple to jaw. I'm Captain Valen, she said, her voice clipped. Her eyes swept over Rin, then lingered on Leora, her lavender skin, her glowing markings. Doc Holt didn't mention you'd be bringing a Varen exile. She's not a threat, Rin said firmly. She needs sanctuary. Mara's expression didn't soften. But she took the chip, slotted it into her wrist device, and scanned the contents. After a long pause, she nodded curtly. Watkins vouches for you. That counts for something. Follow me. The council will decide. The enclave sprawled beneath the ridge, hidden in tunnels carved from the rock. Old mining shafts had been transformed into living quarters, gardens lit by artificial lamps, and marketplaces where humans traded scavenged goods. Leora's eyes widened as she took it all in. So many humans living outside the cities. 300, give or take, Mara said as she led them deeper. Started with deserters, soldiers who refused alien rule. Now we've built something that survives. But survival did not mean welcome. As Rin and Leora walked through the settlement, heads turned. Conversations hushed. Men and women paused mid-task to stare. Some with curiosity, others with thinly veiled hostility. They fear me, Leora whispered. They fear what your people might do if they find you here, Rin corrected gently. Mara led them into a large chamber where 5 council members waited around a semicircular table. The central figure, a broad-shouldered man with a gray beard, leaned forward. Captain? He prompted. Watkins sent them, Mara replied, handing over the data chip. The girls Kirath. Both are being hunted. The council murmured among themselves. Rin caught words like risk, retaliation, precedent. Finally, the bearded man spoke. I'm Counselor Doran. Your presence complicates things. The human can stay. The girl must go. Leora stepped forward, her markings flickering low. I understand. My presence endangers you. I will leave. No, Rin said sharply. We stay together. The chamber erupted into argument. Some counselors demanded she be turned out, others argued for compassion. Doran raised his hand. Silence fell. We will deliberate. Until then, you'll remain under guard in visitor quarters. Their assigned chamber was small but clean, carved from stone with a narrow bed. Guards stood outside the door. Not quite prisoners, Rin muttered. Not quite guests either. Leora moved closer, her cosmic eyes searching his face. You should not have spoken for me. You risk your place here. I wasn't about to abandon you, Rin said, voice rougher than he intended. Her markings pulsed brighter. In the dim light, her skin seemed to glow from within. In my culture, loyalty like that belongs only to clan. And yet you give it to me. You're not a stranger anymore, Rin said softly. For a moment, silence filled the space between them, heavy with something unspoken. Then she lifted her hand, brushing his jaw with delicate fingers. Among my people, she whispered, intimacy is forbidden outside formal bonds. That law cost me everything. But I am Karath now. No longer bound. Her touch lingered, trailing down his neck to rest over his heartbeat. Your compassion saved me. Your strength protected me. And your touch. She shivered slightly. It awakens something I never knew existed. Rin's restraint snapped. He pulled her close, his hand cradling the back of her head as their lips met. Her markings flared brilliantly, glowing brighter wherever his hands touched her. Each kiss deepened their connection, transcending fear, defiance, even species. In that stone chamber, surrounded by a community that might reject them, Rin and Leora carved a freedom of their own. By the time dawn seeped through cracks in the rock, Leora lay curled against Rin, her markings pulsing softly in sleep. The air still carried the charge of their intimacy, a bond forged stronger than either had expected. Rin stirred at the sound of voices beyond the door. Arrived an hour ago, came Mara's voice. Envoy from Earth Central. Here for treaty talks with the Varen Council. Councillor Doran's response was a low growl. Terrible timing. With a Karath girl in our care. That's why it's worse, Mara cut in. They're here because of her exile. Word has spread faster than we thought. Rin's stomach tightened. He looked back at Leora, still sleeping, her face peaceful against his chest. Whatever fragile peace they'd found here was about to unravel. By the time the guards escorted them into the council chamber, the Enclave's air felt thick with tension. The semicircular table had been expanded to accommodate new arrivals. 3 humans in formal attire sat alongside the Enclave Council, their crisp uniforms gleaming against the rough stone walls. The central figure, a tall woman with silver-streaked hair, rose as they entered. Ambassador Celine Corwin. She introduced herself. Her gaze flicked between Rin and Leora, lingering on the glow of Leora's markings. Your presence may provide us with a unique opportunity. Rin stiffened. Opportunity? Corwin nodded. We've been negotiating with the Varen High Council. Your case, she gestured toward Leora, has already stirred unrest among certain factions. Your testimony could help reform their harsher traditions, and win concessions for humanity. Leora's markings dimmed, her voice flat. I am Karath. Exiled. They would not acknowledge me. On the contrary, one of Corwin's aides said, flicking through floating data screens. Your exile has sparked debate among progressives within their clans. Your story matters. Rin's jaw tightened. So you want to use her as leverage? We want to help her, Corwin countered smoothly. Regaining status among her people is possible. Or, she paused, studying Leora. She could apply for human asylum, becoming a cultural liaison. Not Varen, not Karath, something new. The council chamber buzzed with murmurs. Doran raised his voice above them all. The Enclave has voted to grant you sanctuary regardless. Whatever choice you make, you will not be cast out. Relief washed over Rin, but it was tempered by the weight of the decision settling on Leora's shoulders. That night, in their new quarters carved into the rock, Leora stood by the small window, her white hair haloed by the lamplight. Your people surprise me, she said softly. So divided yet united when it matters. Rin joined her, his hand brushing hers. It's what we do best. Fight among ourselves until something bigger threatens us, then stand together. She turned to him, cosmic eyes searching his. Last night changed me. My punishment was meant to sever all bonds. Yet now. Her voice trailed off as she touched his chest, her markings brightening beneath her fingers. I feel something binding me to you instead. Rin pressed his forehead to hers. Whatever you decide tomorrow, return to them, or stay, I'll stand with you. Her markings flared in response, casting light across the stone walls like a constellation. The following day, the chamber was crowded with both human diplomats and Varen delegates. Their elaborate robes shimmered under the Enclave's artificial lights, their headcrests flaring with subtle signals of disapproval. Ambassador Corwin stepped forward. Have you made your decision? Leora straightened, her lavender skin glowing faintly. I will not return to my clan. I request asylum among humans. Gasps rippled through the chamber. A high-ranking Varen female stepped forward, her silver-marked crest rising in authority. This is irregular. Kirath do not choose new lives. Corwin's voice was calm but sharp. Perhaps that practice is precisely what must change. When exiles find more compassion here than among their own people, it reflects poorly on your traditions. The Varen's gaze hardened. She was punished for violating sacred law. Unauthorized touch. Rin cut in, unable to hold back. You tied her to a pillar and poisoned her for touching someone's hand. His voice echoed across the chamber. Don't call that sacred. Call it cruelty. Leora's hand tightened around his, silently urging restraint. But the words had landed. Murmurs spread through both human and Varen ranks. After hours of tense debate, a compromise was reached. Leora would be granted human asylum, officially recognized as a cultural liaison. In return, humanity would establish a small outreach center within Varen territory, a fragile bridge between their worlds. As the delegates filed out, the high-ranking Varen female approached Leora. Up close, the resemblance was undeniable, the same bone structure, though hardened by years of tradition. You shame our lineage, she hissed in their native tongue. Leora's markings dimmed, but her voice and standard was clear. No, mother. The shame lies with those who torture their children in the name of law. The woman's crest flattened in fury. Without another word, she turned and rejoined her delegation. Rin exhaled slowly. That was your mother? Leora nodded, sadness flickering in her markings before they brightened again. High matriarch of my clan. She condemned me. But perhaps it was necessary. It led me here. The weeks that followed reshaped everything. Word of Leora's asylum spread quickly. First a trickle, then a steady stream of Varen dissidents and exiles began arriving at human settlements, seeking what she had found, shelter and dignity. Rin found work in the Enclave's security force, his soldiers' instincts finally put to use protecting something he believed in. Leora became the bridge between species, helping new arrivals adapt while teaching humans the nuances of Varen ways. 6 months later, they stood together on the balcony of their modest home carved into the rock, watching sunset burn the horizon in amber and gold. A message came today, Leora said, her voice carrying the calm of someone who had survived storms. From a progressive faction within my clan. They are questioning the Kirath practice. Demanding reform. Rin's arms slid around her waist. Because of you. Her cosmic eyes gleamed as she leaned into him. Because of us. What began as punishment has become a movement. The markings along her skin shimmered with new designs, interwoven with shapes reminiscent of Rin's tattoos, a living map of their joined stories. Rin chuckled quietly. Strange how it all started with me taking one risky job. The universe, Leora said with a soft smile, has strange ways of bringing souls together. Night settled over the Enclave, its lights glowing like stars embedded in stone. Inside their home, Rin and Leora shared the quiet intimacy of those who had chosen each other despite every barrier. What had begun as exile and desperation had become something far greater, a bridge between worlds, a defiance of cruel traditions, and a love that neither culture could have imagined. And as Rin held her close, he realized that sometimes the greatest revolutions began not with armies or speeches, but with a single choice: to stop, to help, to care. If you've stayed with me through this story, you've seen how a single act of mercy turned into something far bigger. An exile finding her voice, a soldier finding his purpose, and together, two people daring to rewrite the rules of their worlds. Rin and Leora's story reminds us that compassion can ripple outward in ways we never expect. What started with one human choosing not to walk away became the seed of change between species. Their bond wasn't just romance, it was rebellion, survival, and the stubborn belief that a better way is always possible, even in the harshest corners of the galaxy. Maybe that's why stories like this matter. They remind us that the choices we make, even the smallest ones, can light sparks that grow into flames. And that sometimes, the people who change the world aren't the ones with power or armies, but the ones who dare to stand beside someone when no one else will. If you enjoyed this tale of survival, compassion, and love across the stars, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next story. Give this video a like if it moved you, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that kindness, even in the darkest places, can reshape entire worlds. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep looking to the stars, and keep believing in the power of the choices you make.